Sidra versus Pi Network. Which community will create more millionaires? In the world of crypto, communities often matter just as much as technology. Time and again, we've seen that the projects that create the most millionaires are not always the most advanced ones. They are the ones with the strongest belief system, the most aggressive adoption, and the largest grassroots followings. Today, two names dominate this community-powered wealth conversation: Pi Network and Sidra. The big question for investors is simple but powerful. Which of these two communities is more likely to create the next wave of crypto millionaires? Pi Network already has a massive head start. With over 50 million engaged users globally, its community is one of the largest ever built before open market trading. Millions of people mined Pi for years with nothing more than their smartphones. This created a sense of emotional ownership that is rare in crypto. When Pi finally began partial exchange exposure, volatility exploded instantly. Early holders saw dramatic price swings, and although the price has corrected over time, Pi proved one thing clearly: a large, patient community can create instant liquidity and opportunity once markets open. For some early users who accumulated huge balances at zero cost, Pi already created life-changing money. Sidra, on the other hand, is building a very different type of community. While Pi focused on mass adoption through casual mobile mining, Sidra is targeting users through faith-based finance, ethical DeFi, real blockchain infrastructure, and serious ecosystem projects. The Sidra community is smaller today compared to Pi, but it is far more investment-focused. Most Sidra users are not just tapping a button daily, they are actively participating in launches, staking, swaps, and early-stage token allocations on Sidra chain. This means Sidra's community is positioned more like early Ethereum or early BNB believers, rather than casual miners. When it comes to millionaire creation, timing is everything. Pi's biggest advantage is that most of the mining phase is already behind it. Many users already hold huge balances. The downside is that the biggest gains may already be diluted by the massive supply and selling pressure as more users gain access to exchanges. Pi can still create millionaires, but it will likely require long-term holding and strong utility expansion to absorb selling pressure. Sidra, however, is still in what many would call the early infrastructure phase. Projects like SidraDex, Regs, SGT, and upcoming ecosystem tokens give early investors repeated chances at asymmetric returns. Unlike Pi, where most users hold the same asset, Sidra's community is positioned across multiple early-stage projects. This is exactly how millionaire clusters were created on BSC, Solana, and Polygon, not from one token, but from an entire ecosystem of early bets. Another key difference lies in psychology. Pi users often treat Pi as free money, which leads to faster selling when prices rise. Sidra users, in contrast, are mostly people who consciously invest time, belief, and capital into the system. That difference creates stronger diamond hands during volatility, a critical ingredient for life-changing returns. However, scale cannot be ignored. Pi's community size gives it an unmatched network effect. If even a fraction of its users become active traders, merchants, and long-term holders, Pi could still shock the market again. Sidra's path to creating millionaires depends heavily on execution. Successful listings, real utility, regulatory clarity, and continued product delivery. So which community will create more millionaires? Pi Network will likely create a larger number of small to medium success stories due to sheer numbers. Sidra, if it executes properly, may create fewer millionaires, but potentially much larger ones. Pi is about mass participation. Sidra is about early positioning. For smart investors, the real strategy may not be choosing one over the other, but understanding where each project sits in its life cycle. Pi is entering its public market valuation phase. Sidra is still in its early ecosystem building phase. Historically, the biggest wealth is always made before the crowd fully arrives. In the end, millionaires are not created by communities alone. They are created by patience, timing, conviction, and execution. Pi already proved its community power. Sidra is now testing whether a focused, belief-driven ecosystem can deliver even bigger wealth in the years ahead. This is Satoshi Guy, and in crypto, the crowd makes noise, but early positioning makes millionaires.